Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How's it going, Steve?
Just a lot of interesting things going on in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, to say the least, huh? So, yesterday, finished getting most of that addition off that house, and then, so I'm like, my hands are like caught up everywhere and just beat up and tired. And here's like, hey, we gotta go down and help your brother and sister-in-law move. I'm like, yay. I took 3 showers yesterday, so I obviously take a shower every morning. It's just my thing. And then before I did the show yesterday, when the chief came in, I went down this job and I got covered in sawdust and everything, so I had to go take a shower. And after I left here, went back down there for a couple more hours. Had to go home before I even helped my brother move because I was just covered in sawdust and yeah. So, but he has. So Andrea messaged me, said it to me the other day. She's like, "You know, your brother got another dog." I'm like, "Really?" Like, I'm surprised, right? So they have a 2-year-old Saint Bernard that I guess was a friend of Allie's that was moving to where they couldn't have him, and so the baby already like loves him, and I got to meet him yesterday, and of course he barks at first, comes over, but oh my god, that is the sweetest dog ever. Like, he's a big boy though, and I told Corey, I'm like, well, you're gonna have like 80 pounds of food a week this thing's gonna eat, you know?
Be hungry.
Yeah, he's gonna be like feeding my cows. Yeah, so we got him moved, got home late last night.
So he just has the one dog now?
No, because he's got the, so Boomer's its name, which I love the name Boomer. That's a good name. And then he has Bandit, which is a, I don't know, at this month, 4-month-old, 5-month-old lab, or not lab, retriever, I believe. But it's light color. It's not like the golden color. It's still lighter. But maybe it's just because it's a puppy too. But
Is it like Minnie? So Minnie is a lab, but she's like a red fox or something like that.
nah, like a lighter color. I think it's a actual golden retriever, but maybe it's just the color's not as.
So a golden retriever versus a yellow lab. Yeah. Is there a difference?
I think so, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not a dog expert.
I know they're both good dogs.
I'm actually not an expert in anything, but maybe HR, and I'm pretty good at understanding how leadership works because I did that for 20-some-odd years in the military. So, well, I'm not schooled in, well, I am schooled in, actually. Military sent me a bunch of. But my point being is, from here on out, when you hear us talk, Tim's an expert on sewage pipes and being number one in the number 2 business.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
Pretty good at demolition now, right? You're getting.
I'm the best at taking anything apart. I can tell you that right now. There's no one out there better than taking things apart. It's the putting it back together that's an issue, which obviously on this job, there's no choice. But, you know, I'll take a car apart or tractor apart, or it just seems to be an issue getting it back together. That's why Andrew's like, when Corey took over my sewer and drain business, it's like, I was like, I don't know what to do next because I can't not work, but and I can't just do this show at this point anyways. And she should do demolition. Like, it's a good idea because, like I said, I am really good at taking stuff apart. It's the whole putting it back together that is the struggle.
Yeah.
It takes too long sometimes. Like, tear a tractor apart, clean it up, paint it and all that, and it takes time. Then I lose interest or get distracted.
I lose interest after I get like 90% complete on something. I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Next project. Like, the other thing is, too, is I see other things while I'm doing said project, and then I can't focus on that project anymore because I need to go internally fix this other thing, and so I get easily distracted.
I'm good at fixing problems. Like, I guess, because there's like, I always remember like Steve Harvey, always like, what are you good at? I'm like, or what is your talent, or what is your gift? Your gift, that's what the word I was looking for. Gift, because everyone has one, right? That's what you're saying. Everybody has a gift, which I agree. Everyone does. And I was like, well, I'm good at sewer and drain, but that's not a gift. But I'm good at, my gift is fixing things, not necessarily my own things, but fixing things. I'm really good at problem solving. So I was like, oh, and it took, I'm 39 now, so it took a long time to figure out. I'm good at solving problems, but now it's a matter of whose problem, how to solve it, how to do that, whatever. But yeah, what else is new?
I got my brother's 3 dogs, so
I have to go in the house after and check
it's
this
like
out.
a pack of wild animals in there. At 6 o'clock this morning, I thought to myself, "Wow, Nikki's up early for not having to work." I think she has something going on at like 10 or something, but. I said, man, she's up early because she tries to sleep in until like 7:30 on days where she's not going into work. And no, it was just the dogs packing up and running around trying to wake us up. And then all their nails are long; they all need to be trimmed, so I can hear them all clacking. So I've been up since 6. I laid in bed for like 45 minutes, being like, man, is Nikki going to come in here and talk to me? Because the dogs kept coming and running and jumping on the bed, but she slept in the spare bedroom last night, probably because she was hiding from the dogs and wanted the peace and quiet, because they'll try to get up on the bed. And they did this morning, and I kept kicking them off and kept waiting for Nikki. But anyway, so my point being, good luck to your brother with 3 dogs.
2 dogs.
Oh.
Wow. You could say 3 because one is the size of a horse, but.
Yeah, so 2 dogs probably you can handle, but.
The nice thing is Boomer is like trained. So, well, however, he just moved into this new place, and so the landlord was there, who is Alan's dad. I don't know if you ever met Alan's dad, but he's really a teddy bear, but he's got a lot of hard shell around him. Like, he's a good guy, but he just, I don't know, he's that tough kind. I don't know. But anyways, him and his wife are there to like give him the keys or whatever. And Boomer went in and took crap on the carpets that were just shampooed, whatever. Oh, I was like, "Whoa, bad timing." But he is housebred. He's really well trained. He's good.
Apparently not.
Well, might have been some stage fright or some really bad timing on that one. But and then his other dog's still puppy. It's like I think it's around 4 months. So yeah, because you can get him at 2 months, and they've probably had him 2 or 3. Yeah, he might be close to 5 months, but. He looks small, of course, now because the St. Bernard's so big. But my mom always wanted St. Bernard's as a kid. Like, so the fellows live down the road from us. They've always had St. Bernard's. Like my whole life growing up, they've always had them. And then Aaron, who obviously lived down the road from us until he grew up and bought his own place, and he's got 2 or 3 St. Bernard's now. So we've had St. Bernard's around, and my mom's always talked about one. Of course, my dad's like, "No, you're not getting no dog. Or no, we don't get a dog, or whatever." And so Andrew's like, "Oh, Corey got a St. Bernard." And I'm like, "For my mother?" Like, because we've always joked about just buying her one and giving it to her. And be like, "It's all right, it's a gift." Like, so I was like, "Has mom seen the dog yet? Because she might try to take it."
We have to let them out in groups of 2 to try to trust them a little bit better. So we keep mixing up which 2 we let out.
So they don't
bolt.
I've seen a lot of dogs on the police department's Facebook page, like in the holding cell or whatever, as this dog looked familiar. They've had a couple this last week. So
I told Chief yesterday when I was walking down with him, I was like, "Yeah, you might be getting a call from me because my brother's already had to call New London's cops."
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they ran away the other day for like 2 hours. They were gone. And the cops called him back and said, "I think we have a sighting of your dogs a couple miles from your house."
Wow. Usually it's huskies that do that. My friend had 2 huskies, and all the time they are such, like, they get into so much trouble. Like, it's crazy, and they're high energy. And
well, his red fox lab has stayed here more than the other. Well, this is the first time for his Labrador poodle mix to stay here. She's a puppy.
Oh, yeah. She's a puppy.
So she's maybe not even a year old, maybe about a year old. And so she jumps a lot. She can jump pretty high. But anyway, her and Minnie were out this morning, and because Minnie knows the property, they bolted towards the pond. Fortunately, they came back. So I'm starting to think that the dogs only run away from my brother because of his negative energy, because he's always like worked up that they're gonna run off, and so I think he throws them a vibe, run off. You know what I mean?
We'll have this conversation again on Monday and see if that actually worked for you.
Yeah, I don't know. The groups of 2 should. But the other day, when I was working in the garden, I let Molly, his chocolate lab, outside with me. And usually I blame her for because she's like the queen of the pack, because I've kept her before. And she's the one that ran off the cracky that was trying to break into my house the first day I lived here. Like her growl is fierce. Like she has a really fierce growl, and that's what notified me that there was somebody trying to cut open my screen door while I was unpacking my boxes.
I did not know that.
Yeah, first so Zeta went to school on August 26th or 7th. It was because it was her birthday. Nikki went to work, and I was here by myself with two of my brothers because they didn't have the Labradoodle, obviously. But so I had his two dogs and JJ, and I heard her growl, and I had never heard a growl like that. And then I walked over there. The guy he had his big like Jim Bowie knife out. I mean, he was probably about 5'3". I could have taken him probably with my left hand, just on size alone, even with his knife. So I grabbed a big metal bar, and I was like, "Can I help you with something?" And he goes, "I'm looking for whatever John Stark Highway." And I'm like, "Hey, Bubba, you're about 2 miles off John Stark Highway, so that ain't flying with me. You need to get off my property right now." And so then I shadowed him through the house with this big metal bar that was holding the clothes hangers and one of the moving boxes because I was ready to knock him out.
Damn.
So that was my welcome to Newport.
Yeah, that's...
I haven't had any issues since. I called the police department.
You did, though. Your mailbox got blown up.
Oh, yeah, my mailbox did get blown up. And Zeta and I heard that one night. I was like, "Did you hear that? That was loud." I was like, "That sounded like it was like in the front yard." And about 3 o'clock the next afternoon, we realized that there was no top part to the mailbox.
We had a little tradition going on with Alan for a while. He always backed over Andrew's mailbox. He did like twice. So I said, "Oh, we'll get him back with, This was before I was even with Andrew. So we were down at his house with fireworks one time. Those reloadables. Threw one of those in his mailbox. There's actually a video. I got to find it somewhere. Blew it up.
But you replaced it responsibly because it's a federal offense to destroy a mailbox.
Yeah, it's a federal offense to destroy a mailbox. However, the mailbox was Alan's mailbox. So, yeah, someone said to me, "Oh, my God, you're talking about this?" So I don't know. We put it on Facebook. And we didn't go blow someone's random mailbox up. It was our friend's mailbox. But we were responsible and replaced it. Unlike Alan, who then the next year...
You throwing Alan under the bus?
Yes. Andrea and Carrie and someone else, I think TJ, took off for Alan's house. So this was 2 years ago when we were fireworks at our house to go blow his mailbox up with a firework, And, wow. Then he found out about it and he blew our mailbox up. He did a good job, too. He blew that sucker all apart. And he, however, has never replaced our mailbox. We, every time, replaced his mailbox. Yeah, one time his mailbox, he put a microwave out there as a mailbox, and which didn't last long.
Did they deliver his mail into the microwave?
I don't know. That's probably what the issue was, why to switch it. I mean, pretty clever, but yeah.
We had a problem. Like I take mailbox destruction seriously. We used to have kids drive through with baseball bats, and
that was a big thing when I was a kid.
Do that in my neighborhood.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was a big thing. And once again, it is a federal offense. Don't do it. The only reason I'm telling you about what we did is because
you replaced it responsibly.
Yeah. And it was our buddies.
Hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because they have things. If you Google it, you can look up they have the ones where if you hit the mailbox, skunk spray comes out and all these different things.
It's kind of like the packages that they have for thieves.
Yep.
Porch thieves or whatever they're called.
Yep. Yeah.
So anyway, going back to the dogs, 4 is way too many. 3 is probably definitely too many. 2 is going to be a struggle because
you're going to find out.
Nikki, she acted like she just found out, but I'm pretty sure she's probably been on a waiting list. Because I've told her for the last few years because JJ is so well trained because he has all the traits from all the dogs over the years because because dogs learn from other dogs. At least I think they do. I'm not a dog expert, but I feel like he has all the good traits from all my other dogs. And so he needs to pass that on to somebody because, he's getting up. He's 7 or 8 years old. So my other dog is 13 or 14. He's at my parents' house. He is the best dog.
Now
he's a mutt.
What kind of dog's this one you're getting?
It's a lab of some kind. It's got recessive genes, so it'll be gray or silver, charcoal colored.
My cousin has I don't know, his name's Moose. He's a silver lab. Granted, I don't know what the actual name is, but he's a silver color. He's very pretty.
But it comes from double recessive. the recessive genes of both parents or something.
Nice.
I looked it up because I'm like, is this some designer dog that's going to die in like 4 years because, its hip's going to be out of socket? Because things can happen when people get crazy trying to breed dogs, but whatever. It's not mine.
We've successfully spent almost 15 minutes talking about dogs.
Well, we've had some side conversations. All right, we'll move past the dogs, but right now I got a whole pack of them in the house.
I have a perfect segue right into this. Tomorrow is a Save a Stray 5K at the end of Parlin Field, at the end of the runway. So somewhere near the park there, Volunteers Park. It all benefits the Southern County Humane Society. So if you want to go do a 5K tomorrow, run it, walk it, jog it.
Show up and donate to the
you could just show up and donate it too if you want.
Yeah, it's interesting because as I was doing the research for my project I'm trying to work on for us, so that we have like some actual news, or at least what we consider to be news. There's a lot of people abandoning dogs because of the downturn of the market.
Really?
That's what I mean, it could just be that. Now, I did not fact check that. That was like just an article that appeared while I was looking at economic situation in the U.S. I put in something generic just to see what kind of stuff they're reporting on. But it did say that right now there's an uptick in abandoned dogs.
That's crazy.
It's getting harder and harder to feed them. As the prices of everything's going up, you got to make a decision. Some households.
Oh, when we get to that topic, I got some stuff to talk about too. But
so anyway, I found that interesting. So support the SPCA, Save a Stray, Saturday.
Sometimes it's harder to adopt a dog than as a kid.
Saturday, tomorrow, the 25th.
Yes, tomorrow. Wings and Wheels, 11 to 2. We'll be there. Originally I was going to Alicia on a camera, but Alicia has a graduation party, so it might be a Lydia. We'll figure it out. Either way, we'll be there, so come see us. Come check out the cars. You don't have to come see us because I don't think any people will show up for that, but, we'll be there. Steve's the one with a hat on over here. If you're mad at anything during the show, Steve put me up to it. No, I'm just kidding. And then tomorrow night, 4:30 to 10, Rolling Thunder's doing their event. Roadhouse is going to be at the Moose. Barbecue dinner, band, $25 a person. I think we might be going to that. Andrew said something about going. I was like, yeah, it's a good cause. Plus, it will be. I love going to bands. It's fun. And then today, Farmers Market, 3 to 6 on the Common. And then the other thing town-wise was concerts on the Common start this Sunday.
Wow.
6 to 8. Just Can't Wait is the band, which my uncle had them at his, I think my cousin's birthday party last year or something like that. They're pretty good. I'll have to go down. The concerts on the Common are a lot of fun. They're just chill, sit in the lawn chair on the Common, and hopefully the weather's always good for them. Yeah, it's just a good time. Usually the church across the street selling hot dogs. Sometimes a good humor ice cream truck shows up.
It's not Sunday's supposed to be the hottest day this weekend.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like 91 or something like that. No charge for this. You just come out. This is a sponsored event, so each band, each Sunday has a sponsor that helped put this on. So this is all chamber stuff that they've done. So yeah,
keep it local.
Absolutely. And once again, July 9th, 11:30 to 1, $12. The Goshen Fire Department's doing their barbecue chicken pre-buy, so you need to reach out to the fire department down there or any of the members of the department. Say, hey, I want to come down and get some chicken. So, and then there's Don't Buy Gas, July 3rd through 5th, whatever, which I don't know if you just saw, but they're talking about doing a federal tax holiday so for the next 3 months, taking away the gas tax, which is 18.4 cents. So the other day I was listening to WNTK, Kevin, I don't know, St. James is his last name. I don't remember his first name now. But anyways, the morning show they have over there. And he did there was a study or report or something that came out. And he's like, well, if you have a Ford F-150, blah, 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 which the average is about 20 miles a gallon, the AAA, like how many miles you typically drive a month, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. If they take away the gas, they can save for the whole month, the 3 months was like $35. whip-de freaking do? Like
$35 to buy a bag of groceries.
buy you lunch.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's not going to buy you much.
Not much at all. Meme of the day. This is kind of funny because, like in the past, I never agree with anything he says, but I don't know. So, Bill Maher, if kids knew what they wanted to be at age 8, the world would be filled with cowboys and princesses. I wanted to be a pirate. Thank God no one took me seriously and scheduled me for an eye removal and a peg leg surgery. Isn't that the truth? Thus,
Yeah, well, that's what
5-year-olds can't decide if they want to be, a different sex than they are born with.
Well, yeah. His point being is that like we should let kids mature and figure it out. Like
Let kids be kids.
Yeah.
Stop putting the sexual crap in their head. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was strict with Zeta, and she actually thanked me the other day for not allowing her to be on all those social media websites when she was younger, when all the kids around her were. Which I thought
thanked you.
She did.
That's
She's
awesome.
like, Dad, thanks. She was like, I remember being kind of mad or disappointed. She was like, but there's a lot of
awesome.
stuff out there that like kids are having to delete their account. They're saying dumb things when they're 13 years old. And she's like, and I really appreciate. I was like, wow, you're welcome, baby.
That's awesome.
You weren't that way when I told you no. When everybody had whatever.
Well, it's like you see a lot of kids that even like Adelina's age too, with electronics. They keep them busy. And the only time she ever gets electronics is if we're at a restaurant and she's starting to like get antsy and act up, whatever.
And then you hand her the babysitter.
Then we have the babysitter, or
well, when we were kids, the babysitter was the TV.
Yeah. So, and that's what she does. She watches like EIEIO, she calls it, but the Old McDonald and that kind of stuff on YouTube. No, TikTok or any of that crap. And
as far as you know, she did work that camera. She knew exactly how to go to the camera app.
She did. That's right. When we were down tearing the porches off that house, she had it also to keep her entertained. And Andrea had like 135 pictures on there of random things. She's pretty smart.
We used to give Zeta the portable DVD player because we traveled
Yep.
a lot and we didn't have a DVD player in the car.
We talked about trying to get that because that would just be better. And like I said, we only use it for like when we're at a restaurant, we need to, behave, or we're trying to do something and we need, the babysitter is a short kind of thing because it's just not going to be, you're not going to be one of those kids that grows up with electronics.
Yeah, well, I think it affects their ability to communicate. Maybe I haven't seen it so much now, and it might be because I'm not really paying attention and I'm not in a bigger city. But we used to go, and then like you'd see families or even groups of teenagers sitting with each other, and they're all texting and they're not communicating with one another. And it's like, why even bother going out? I could have
crazy.
Saved y'all a lot of money by making you a dinner, and y'all could have sat on the couch texting each other. I haven't seen it as much, and it might just be because we're in a smaller town.
It's crazy.
But you would see groups of kids literally just texting each other.
Took away the family table. People sit down and talk about their day, and and you wonder why.
Yeah, we do that we have the traditional meal every once in a while, and sometimes it's kind of awkward, just the three of us sitting there talking. But we try, you know what I mean? But it's good we don't do it as often as we probably should have. Like when I was growing up, we ate at the dinner table.
Right. That's what you did.
Food was not allowed outside the kitchen. Yeah, just old school rules.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of got away. We try to eat at the kitchen table at least a couple times a week. Just depends what's going on, how busy we are, or whatever. But it's important. And there's no phones at the table. I mean, I would be guilty occasionally. I would like, oh, sorry, but it's a short amount of time. Like,
to talk to each other and find out what's going on.
All right, we've been waiting all week.
Well,
Steve's Farming Fridays.
Well, I talked about wanting to look at because we were talking about chicken, the cost of eggs possibly going up, and so I was looking at I started by looking at the chicken, like just for the feed. And so I was like, well, you know what, before I look at this, why don't we just baseline it of what we're calling inflation and everything else and just try to get a good understanding, because we throw out consumer price index, inflation, or they're throwing out at us more than us throwing it out in normal conversation. So I just want to make sure, and again, I'm not an economist. I'm just a guy trying to do
Just did research.
trying to figure out exactly what's going on around here. And so basically, and you can find that the government has a tool that you can log on and see, and it'll show you inflation, and it'll show you the trends and everything. So anyway, what I found was the inflation rate has risen monthly since February of 2021. So it's been going up, which isn't necessarily always a bad thing, according to like 2 or 3 different things that I read. But it's been going up pretty steadily since the change in administrations.
Right.
It fluctuated underneath the previous, it usually does. But right now we're up there and it's pretty high. And so for the year of 2021, inflation was 7%, and it's currently at 8.6%. So what that basically means is supply and demand are going to drive up cost. And so what they use the consumer price index. So the government has a list of a whole bunch of commodities that you and I would buy regularly, eggs, gas, all that kind of stuff. And so that's how they get the consumer price index. And then you calculate inflation by comparing consumer price index of that basket full of goods that they constantly are pricing, getting an average price. So the consumer price index has obviously gone up, so that's making inflation go up, which means we get less for our dollar than we did last year.
Right.
Like 8.6% less. Anyway, so wages are up because they say there's a shortage of workers, raw materials are up. An example I kept finding was semiconductors. But what I find is intriguing to me, like when the guy who like asks questions and wait a second, what's going on? So when they say there's a shortage of workers, and it's in like from gas station all the way up, and so it's not just like those that were doing Zoom meetings, like your typical higher wage jobs where people are meeting on Zoom and they're like, well, I'm not going back into work. It's not just those workers. It's, I don't know, I call them starter jobs for high school kids. So they're not being filled, which I find interesting because a lot of times they say we need mass immigration to fill all the jobs that people don't want to do. We've had an open border now for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And so why do we still have a shortage of workers if we have over 2 million immigrants that have flooded across the border? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just keeping it on the low end because I don't have the actual number. But anyway, so I find that interesting. Like my spider senses went up like, well, wait a second. We're always told that we need all these immigrants to do the jobs that we don't want to do, and we still don't have anybody doing the jobs that allegedly we don't want to do.
Welfare.
So anyway, do what?
Welfare.
Well, then a factor that goes into this is also our monetary policy.
We just print money that we don't have.
Well, the Fed does that.
Yes.
And so the way that they try to control it is through controlling the interest rates, right? So if you have low interest rates like we had previously, that makes purchasing easier. You can get goods for a lot less, so you don't have to worry about it. You can go borrow money for a low interest rate. You're going to borrow money. Now we have high interest rates coming in, and that reduces the amount being borrowed, which sometimes can help curb inflation because now you're tightening the money supply. So your average person that doesn't have decent credit is not going to be able to get a loan like they could previously. And so if inflation continues to rise, then we can go into a recession, which
they're arguing we're already there.
Yeah, some people are saying that. So this happened kind of the way that it is now underneath Jimmy Carter.
Yep.
Right? We had massive, and it started actually before that, but it was at its highest in 81, right when we got President Reagan. And so what they did in 81 was you had a 20% interest rate. They reduced government spending. They cut taxes. They reduced government regulations, and they restricted the money supply. So that's how they attacked it in 81 when we were trying to recover from the same kind of situation that we're in right now.
There's something else he did too. I just don't want to say it if it's in there.
No.
So he also, I heard this on the radio the other day. So before Reagan, so right now 28% is the highest tax rate or whatever. It used to be 70%. So he cut that like way, way back. Because the theory is, if you cut the taxes back on people that are making more money, they spend more money, invest more money. If it's high like that, they spend no money at all, which, I mean, part of it's trickle-down economics, but, and everyone said to Reagan, this doesn't work, you can't do this, this won't work, blah, blah, blah. Well, it worked.
Yeah, it worked, and I'm sure we can have somebody come in here and
Right,
tell
I'm
us
sure
that the trickle-down policies don't work, because I'm sure eventually people are like, well, I'm going to keep making more money. I mean, we see it all the time. You got CEOs that the banks are getting bailed out underneath President Obama.
And you have Amazon not
And
paying taxes.
and then the CEOs are getting, I think it was like 80 some odd people, the executive levels were all getting bonuses, even though the government had to bail them out. Like,
The auto industry is the same way. Like GM and them, like they took the bailout and then they give their CEOs bonuses and stuff, which that should be fraud.
it doesn't help anything. It defeats the purpose, and so I have issue with that.
Yeah,
like the money should go.
We don't ever get bailed out.
No,
struggling with the bills this month. That sucks.
Yeah, good luck with that. You're small enough to fail. There's a place for you to camp out there in San Francisco. We got all kinds of free. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that when we're talking about inflation, we're talking about the same thing. So that's looking at the basket of goods. And so over time, each month they actually come up with a rate. So they do it monthly, and then they do an average as well. And this is all out there for anybody to find. And I just want to make sure that we're all using the same language when we talk about inflation. And so that we understand that right now we're at 8.6%. So, estimate that's pretty fair across the board if you go out and start looking it up on the internet. Some of it have a little bit higher, some of it a little bit lower. Some people expect it to settle down at 6% by the end of the year. I don't know where they didn't provide any data. I'm just throwing that out there. So you'll find articles say, well, it's bad now, but it's going to get a little bit better. And my point about going forward now, because we know that our electricity bills are going up 50%.
Double, 100%.
Groceries are up at least 10%. Gas is up double since February of 2021. And so that's my other thing is if all these things are going up, how is it only at 8.6%?
How is Biden's rating at 39%? It's been there for a year. There's no way there's 39% of the country that still supports him.
Well, I mean, you can manipulate surveys.
I think they manipulate these numbers personally.
Yeah, well, that's why I tried to find a whole bunch of different sources for it.
This is how they do it, though, so people know how they actually do it.
And you can go find it. You can. Do I have the website here?
That was one thing yesterday. Like Andrea was telling me, she's like, "Yeah, I went to Shaw's, and she usually gets the prepackaged lunch meat. Usually it's $4 something. Now it's like $8. It's doubled. Bacon was like $9.99 a pound, which." Shaw's bacon sometimes costs more anyways, but, it used to be $5.99 like a year ago. So it's definitely gone up. Like, everything's gone up a lot. Like, so that's why, like, the whole inflation thing is like, but I also think it's not, inflation is different, I think, than the price thing because that's telling you how much less your dollar's worth than last year.
Right.
So now you're, you lost.
So $100 is worth about $90 now.
Right.
But I don't even feel like it's that good. It feels a lot worse because there's so many, and that's what I wanted to just put it out there. So, we get all these numbers thrown at us. So when you hear 8.6%, it doesn't really add up to the common.
No,
common man or woman. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like everywhere you look, everything's more expensive.
Right. If it's going to settle down at 6% this fall. Okay, well, gas is probably going to be $6 a gallon. What's heating oil going to be like?
Heating oil is already at $6.
Yeah,
or $5.75.
So it's going to be. I don't know.
So now that we have this, so I'll keep this in mind now. So like next week we'll either look at gas or grocery, some different aspects, so that it puts some relevancy, so that. Because you hear 8.6%, you're like, all right, so I need like a 8% raise at work to stay where I'm at. But I think it's going to be a lot more than that.
And inflation typically is averaged around, it's 3%. And that's usually like raises and stuff like that through town jobs and stuff. Usually every year it's at least 3%, which is supposed to be an inflation, because that's just normal. Inflation is normal. It happens forever. However, it's super high now because we just keep writing checks that we don't have money for.
And see, and I'm biased, right? So all of my, I'll tell you right now, my research is going to be like, we'll probably find, or it'll be easier for me to see where the government's intruding and causing problems. Because I'm the kind of guy,
right,
like my core belief value is the government should be in as little things as possible.
right.
Because the government, as it expands and gets bigger, it stinks because now you have people who aren't necessarily trained and know what they're talking about, representing and coming up with policies that I didn't elect, that I don't agree with, and there's no way for me to get rid of them as a citizen.
You don't think Pete Buttigieg is a good Secretary of Transportation?
I like that he pretended to ride his bike to work and got caught getting it out of the truck. They actually got that on video. That's a true story. Right? So, I mean, but my lens is, just so everybody's clear, is I am biased. Like, I do not believe in big government. And so when I read how we did it in 81, I'm like, well, that makes sense. That's probably why I'm influenced like this, because...
Well, no, you did a good job, Steve. You talked about how inflation's actually, done, calculated. Oh,
No, but you know
biased
what I
at
mean?
all.
Yeah, but so I'm about lower taxes, smaller government, and letting the market take care of itself.
I think most people are really starting to get to that point.
Well, so from my perspective right now, like leaving this kind of conversation, but like from a bigger perspective, so we have congressmen and women who are lobbied, who are getting paid to influence policy in favor of big business. So I almost sound like a a classic liberalist, I guess. I don't know, but these businesses are too big right now. We have businesses that are making decisions that are influencing. They're not, well, they could be making them behind closed doors, but they're definitely at a minimum influencing decisions. And again, I didn't vote for Walmart. I don't go to Walmart. That's my own personal choice because I don't like. I don't know. I saw a good meme actually. Speaking of Walmart, somebody was checking out, and it's all not here, but it was like a local. It was like a national. But she was making a comment that when she left, because it's all self checkout at her Walmart, like there was a 15-person line waiting for their receipt to get checked, and she was like, "You can check my receipt whenever you check me out." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to wait in the queue because you can't and don't want to hire workers to do this, but now you want to double check me? Like, if you want to make sure that I'm paying for my groceries or whatever, then check me out.
It's a
Make it easier, more convenient for me.
it's another formula. They consider how much self-checkout costs them because they know people don't, whether purposely or miss something, how much they'll lose, and then how much it'll cost to pay that employee. And they decide that, well, it's cheaper just to have people not pay for X amount percentage.
Right, but they'll say that there's a shortage of workers, but I don't understand how there's a shortage of workers when we have over 2 million immigrants that have come in over the border in the last couple of years.
I'll say something about, so you'll hear this.
But I mean, I thought that was also, I thought that was a good point that she makes. Now I just speak with my feet, and I don't go to Walmart because I was the only one in the Walmart. This was in Hawaii. I checked out 6 feet from the guy at the door, and I was walking out, and he was like, "Hey, I need to check your receipt." I'm like, "You literally just saw them check me out. Like, I'm the only one in here." It was like 5:30, 6 in the morning. We were at the beach, and like I was the first one in there, and I'm like, "Why? No, I'm not stealing anything. You just saw her check me out. I'd have to be a magician to steal something and get it in this bag with like." I think all I bought was like barbecue sauce or something. It was like a bag with barbecue sauce. I'm like, so that I speak with my feet now. I don't go to Walmart because of that instance. Because it's poor everything. So you don't trust me, but you want my money. You can see me. You're not going to use common sense, and you don't give them any authority to be like, all right, well, this guy just checked out. I'm not going to bother him.
I got kicked out of Kmart once because of this whole situation. Me and my brother at Kmart, and I had like a leather jacket on, my hands were in my pocket. Like followed me to the bathroom. I come out of the bathroom. He's like, I don't know, like asked me if I was shoplifting or some shit, and I was mad, and he was following me around the store, which if he was following a woman around the store would have been even more creepy. Like, So we went to the front, like, I mean, we get kicked out probably because of the approach, but we walked to the front, head whatever, and like this guy's effing following us around, whatever. He's supposed to, it's his job, and he wasn't even working. He was like a worker, but he wasn't even working. And they like told us to leave earlier and call the cops. Now today, if that had happened, I would have been like, "Yep, call the cops," because I'm going to stand here until they're here. Matter of fact, I'll call the cops myself, or I probably would have just knocked his teeth out or something. But yeah, no, I was not impressed.
So so I have issue with that, but
yeah, I don't like being accused or made to feel like I'm some sort of criminal.
And no one should be like that.
No. Yet
there are thieves,
of course. I'm not one of them. I'm a lot of things, but not a thief.
Yeah, so Chief would probably say, like, well, you had an oversized coat on.
No, it wasn't even oversized.
Pockets. You were looking suspicious. Were you looking suspicious? Were you walking around brooding, or
no?
Were you shifty?
None of that. Just
it's kind of like me. I literally checked out 6 feet from the guy. Because, it wasn't like a Walmart where you check out here and then you got to walk.
Right.
It was
right
like
there.
I checked out right here. The door was right there, or 6 feet away, whatever it was. It wasn't far. Seriously, it was like barbecue sauce because I was going to barbecue that day. I just wanted to get it knocked out so I could get to the beach, look for seashells, be relaxed. So I don't go to Walmart anymore.
Yeah, I don't. I try.
So I like that lady's post.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to check my receipt, then hire people to check me out.
Yeah, it's just another way for them not to have to hire someone to do, yeah. All right, let's go into some real fiery topics. So yesterday, the Supreme Court struck down the New York gun law by a majority, 6-3 vote. So the current gun law was, if you want to conceal carry, you have to have a permit, which you used to have to in New Hampshire, but now Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, it's constitutional carry. You do not have to have one, which you shouldn't actually have to have one by the Constitution. So New York requires you to have one, which is fine. And I'm okay with having to get a permit because it's like good for 5 years. All it is a background check to make sure I'm not a criminal. That's all it is. But in New York, they ask you questions. You have to basically explain to them why you need to constitutionally carry or to carry, concealed carry for that permit. And they struck it down, says it's unconstitutional, that no one has to explain to the government why you need to do this. They didn't say the carrying a permit, requiring a permit was unconstitutional. Asking the question why, or trying to explain to the government why you need to.
Convince the government that you're worthy of being able to execute your rights.
So basically with them asking that question, then someone gets to determine if that's an acceptable answer. I live in a dangerous neighborhood. Sorry, not acceptable. We're not giving you the permit. So it was shot down, and then you text me last night. So by the Supreme Court is the highest rule in this country.
Right. So it takes, when there's questions, we entrust the Supreme Court to then interpret the law and make a ruling that then applies across the entire nation of states.
Yes. So then, you sent me this last night. Breaking, DOJ released a statement that they respectfully disagree with the Supreme Court ruling on the New York gun law. The Department of Justice remains committed to saving innocent lives by enforcing and defending federal firearms laws. So, basically, the DOJ said we don't care what the Supreme Court ruled, although the Supreme Court overrules the DOJ because the Supreme Court is the highest court, the highest rule of law in this country.
Right, so all of us should be now
extremely...
We should be following, so now they've interpreted the law that was under question. And so now what the DOJ has said is, ignore the Supreme Court. Because, and I mentioned it to you before, so the DOJ is enforcing federal firearms laws, right? So that doesn't necessarily affect the New York ruling, except for the fact that now, since the DOJ is saying we don't recognize it, whatever. So now this morning, there's an article, Mayor Adams, NYPD Commissioner, and this is on CBS New York, written by Marcia Kramer. at 6:19 p.m., so I didn't see this last night, but I saw it this morning. Mayor Adams, NYPD commissioner, say old rules still apply after Supreme Court strikes down concealed carry law. So the DOJ, with their statement saying, we disagree with them, and so now the New York saying we're not going to change anything. Like, appreciate your ruling, but we don't really care. So now we have a institution within our own government disagreeing with publicly the Supreme Court, and now it's emboldened the state and the city who's supposed to now change based on their ruling, saying, yeah, we're not going to change anything.
Right.
So, again, why have a Supreme Court?
Because it's rules for thee, not for me. Because the ruling party in this country doesn't believe in laws. Lefties don't believe in laws unless they perfectly fit what they're. So they're going to pack the court.
Like they believe in their law, saying you don't really have a right to protect and defend yourself.
Right. And the new transplant governor, excuse me, who was only there because Cuomo was a creeper and resigned,
and he should probably also get prosecuted for his old folks' home allegedly decisions.
Yeah, but he has a D next to his name, so it won't happen. And the D is for Democrat. Most people figured that out.
I thought it was for D-bag.
In his case, for sure. It's just more and more and more every day. So the DOJ basically is run by the Biden, I almost said Obama administration, which, I mean, it's the same thing, but the Biden administration, and it's all political. The FBI has become political. The DOJ is now political. The DOJ will decide if they're going to prosecute you on things or not politically and not follow the law. But we need more laws, Steve, because more laws will fix the stuff. Yet we do not follow any of the laws out there.
You better follow all the laws.
I will have to, because I will be targeted because of my...
Yeah, your stated political opinions on this show.
Yeah. So I better walk that line really straight and not step out of it, because if I do, they'll slam me down. But this person over here
does whatever they
want. And that's okay. And there's a statement here, is we cannot allow New York to become the Wild Wild West, Adams said. That's funny, because if you go to New York, you have to be careful, because people are throwing people on subway out in front of the train and killing them. And there was people getting stabbed on subway trains and all this, because New York is the Wild Wild West, because lefties don't enforce the law and don't give a crap about protecting you, because they're protected by their guards and everything else. So it's a perfect example. New York, California, run by lefties, hellholes, getting worse and worse, highest tax, everything else. And those states are going down the tube. I wonder why.
Yeah.
If you can't connect the dots, if you really think it's some just ironic thing that these two states are going down the toilet, and it's not the fact that these lefties are running it, then
there's no help for
you at all.
The world needs to change.
Right. So now it doesn't matter what the Supreme Court says. And then every time the Supreme Court rules against leftists, they're like, well, we're going to pack the Supreme Court. This is crap, blah, 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 blah.
Right. So
we didn't get our way.
So they
just lefty. I didn't get my way. Wah, wah, wah.
So in this case, which I'm sure they're not going to allow it, and I mean, based on this alone, so they're saying they're not going to follow it. So what? Because they're saying, what are you going to do to me if we just keep doing it the way that we are?
What are they going to do, Steve?
Well, they control the police force. They control everything. So is the police? Because
it's a police state.
Mayor Adams was a police chief, right? Yeah, I think he was.
He was something with police.
He was high up in the police department, and so now the mayor and the commissioner. Old rules still apply. We're not changing anything. So there's not going to. So it'll be interesting to see. Are they going to be allowed to do this? Is someone going to step up? Is it going to take? What's it going to take for someone?
DOJ would be the one to step up, but DOJ is not going to.
DOJ's already given them the approval to. Yeah,
exactly.
Do whatever. You just keep doing what you're doing. We disagree with.
Keep in mind, this is the same state that puts on subways the practice safe drug use and basically gives you the instructions to do so. And don't be ashamed if you use drugs.
Feel empowered.
Feel empowered because you're doing it safely. Doesn't want it to become the Wild Wild West, because law-abiding citizens would carry with a permit. Criminals still can't carry because they can't get a permit. It would be me, you would be normal people, law-abiding citizens that would get a permit. But we're not going to turn into the Wild Wild West. Why? Because you're afraid someone with a gun might stop some of the crap going on in your state, which that would hurt your agenda, which is to destroy everything you touch.
It seems like they're destroying everything. Like they're just...
That's what they're good at. Build back better. By the people that never built a damn thing in their life.
So they'll build it back better after everybody, after it's in ruins, I guess.
Right. Once we're a third world hellhole, which is the goal here from these people.
It feels like it is. You know, like
I'll go out there and say
truly
it's a goal.
believe in the United States. I don't believe...
I believe in the United States. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the people of the United States. I do not believe in this corrupt government that we have. And if you can't look at history and see which direction everything's going right now, then you weren't taught history right.
Well, you're not taught to question the narrative.
Right.
Like, I'm not even the narrative right now. You don't have to question the narrative. Like, you need to question, why is this the narrative? But
this should piss everybody off. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, liberal, whatever.
When the DOJ comes out and says, "Yeah, we don't recognize the Supreme Court's ruling," and then hours later, you got the mayor and the governor saying, "Yeah, we're going to keep doing the way the things we are." What's really going to happen to us? Yeah. Who's going to stop us from doing this? That's just a ruling.
Keep in mind, me and you were domestic terrorists because we went to school meetings pissed off. Just remember that.
Yeah, it's scary times. Like it shouldn't matter. You can disagree with me all you want. You can think that I'm an idiot. I don't care. You know what I mean? But, like, I'm not committing a crime by voicing my opinion that's based on the facts that I think I've read. You think the facts that you've read are correct. I think my facts are right. So we'll just have to agree to disagree. Not label you now as you're a pariah, you're a bad person because you don't agree with me. Like, you're a bad person for certain things, but not because you disagree with somebody on a policy. Now, there are policies that if you agree with, I might think that you're a suspect of a good person. But you had mentioned one already before. Like the bill from the meme of the day, like...
Oh, yeah.
You know, I wanted to be Luke Skywalker.
You should be Luke Skywalker.
Probably wanted to be Chewbacca. My parents didn't glue hair all over me and let me go around growling.
That's acceptable now, though.
Well, you can be a cat. I'm not going to talk to you if you come up and act like you're a cat to me. I won't have a conversation with you. I won't acknowledge your play lifestyle. You need to go join a group for people who want to be cats. So y'all go do that together.
Go get your
freedom of association.
Why don't you get your head examined?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Something. But the point is that we shouldn't have... So the rule of law is breaking down. That's the whole point of this entire thing. When the Supreme Court makes a ruling, because you and I are expected to now, like if that ruling was something against, like there have been plenty, right? Like making health care taxable or whatever. Like I disagree with that.
Obamacare.
Right. Like you got to pay a tax if you don't have health care coverage.
And they said that was constitutional, which I agree. I disagree 100% with. It's a bunch of crap. But you know what? What choice do I have?
I still filled out my form saying that I have health insurance or whatever, so that I didn't get taxed. I didn't just not do it.
I can't say that, but
anyway. If you are supposed to be a nation of laws, order, you got to have sovereignty of borders, and you got to have a social contract that we all agree with, which is the Constitution of the United States is the supreme social contract in the land.
Yeah. If you don't like it, move to another country.
Like, my health has nothing to do with you, so why are you worried about me?
Right. Well, because it's everyone's business. They can't run their own lives correctly. So
you can make an argument like, well, my insurance rates are going to go up if you're not insured. Okay, well.
I'm not insured. I pay the doctor, and I probably pay more than the freaking insurance company
So you
pays.
do the right thing. You pay it. A lot of people go, and then they don't pay because they have to provide emergency services.
Yeah, but most of those people can get it written off anyways.
I mean, there's ways around everything. The point being is the Supreme Court has made a ruling, and now the DOJ within our own federal government's like, disagree with it, whatever.
And the governor and the mayor of New York City are like, yeah,
step
no.
with the DOJ.
Right. So they should be removed from office today for those statements. That's unlawful. And when they were sworn in office, they were sworn in to uphold the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah. And I'm sure for New York, it was in the laws of the city and the state, the constitutions of those states. But we all are under a social contract to follow. And so that's why, even though I disagree with a lot of things, I voice my opinion to try to convince people to join with me in expressing our concern or our lack of support or faith in a certain bill or person. I don't go out and just not follow the rules. Otherwise, you have chaos, and that becomes the wild, wild west, which is why New York City is dangerous. Riding on a subway, I went to New York City 2 or 3 years ago before my brother moved, and we were getting off the subway, and some homeless, he had to have been homeless, or he was very disheveled and unkempt and smelly. I tried to grab at my niece. Like, if this was a just world, I would have, taken care of that guy, and I whipped his rear end a little bit.
Right.
You don't ever put your hands out and try to grab anyone ever.
You would have went to jail.
Yeah, I would have went to jail, and he probably would have sued me and be living in my house.
Yeah.
He'd be your partner up here right now.
Not likely.
But you know what I mean? Like, I just got issues with our own government now not following the recommendations of. I mean, the Supreme Court
It's not a recommendation.
It's the checks and balances. Yeah, exactly. It's not even a recommendation.
It's an order.
We found this, so it's unconstitutional, so cease and desist.
Think about it, Steve. We go to court tomorrow for something, I don't know, whatever, and we look at the judge, say, no, I don't agree with that, and I'm not going to do it. Guess where we're going to go? We're going to go to jail. But all of a sudden, because you're governor, mayor of New York, you're the freaking mayor, I'm not going to do it.
Now, where are the sheriffs? The sheriffs are our last line of defense.
We are the last line of defense.
Because they're elected. The sheriffs are elected, allegedly.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so I have more Uvalde stuff. I'm going to save it for Monday because that'll be another hot topic. And then I noticed this week that Biden talked about, there's another pandemic coming.
No, the second pandemic.
Second.
He didn't say another.
That's true.
He said the second pandemic is coming. Which, again, I'm not a medical expert. I'm none of those things. I am an observer. So for my line of thinking, right, so when the previous administration would talk, they would say, hey, we need to make sure we're prepared if this happens again. If this happens again.
If.
So that was, and I'm sure that I bet that someone could probably go out there and say that when this happens again. But he said a second pandemic is coming, something along those lines.
Yeah. Probably right about election time when all will have to mail our votes in again because these Democrats know that come November they're going to get washed out of office because they're corrupt as can be. And then we'll see how the Republicans do, and we'll still be here complaining about them, I'm sure, because they'll.
Yeah, if you vote for anybody that's part of the party system,
right,
you're not helping any of us overcome the types of things that we've been talking about this morning.
You need new people. New people,
non-party affiliated. You got to write people in, or you got to go and flood the different party elections with non-system people. Like they can't be part of the system. The system is broken on both sides.
Yeah, 100%. Today, this is a whole talking about these lefties that don't agree with anything law-wise, but
if it wasn't broken, there would be compromises, right? So, okay, you reach a deal, but then you give up a little bit of here, and then these guys are, this party gets a little bit, that party gets a little bit more because the Democrats are the majority for the most part. So they should be passing.
The other majority. House, Senate,
Well, it's, yeah.
they're the majority.
Yeah.
They are. You could filibuster, but you're still a majority because Harris makes the deciding vote. This country should be going light years ahead right now. They have full control. But they still want to blame Putin and everybody else for all the issues because it's got to be someone else's problem. Someone else's fault, Steve.
No. Well, I came across that when I was doing my research, like the different things that they've blamed it on. I didn't even cover that really. But
We hear it
yeah,
all the time.
it's changed over the like it varies from month to quarter. You know what I mean? Depending on what's going on.
Day
It
to
was
day.
supply chain issues from COVID's initial shot across the bow to the world or whatever, which, okay, so that should have affected 2021, right? Because 2020 is whenever there should have been supply chain issues. We haven't been
Right.
able to figure that out since.
No, and then they were talking about gas prices the other day, and it wasn't. I don't remember. One of his secretaries is a female there that was talking about how much gas is in UK and France and everything else. So basically, we should just be lucky what our gas is. And I'm like, you are the secretary or whatever for our country, not their country. So I don't give a crap what their prices are because their prices are set based off
You
of.
gave him a little Marjorie Taylor Greene. Did you see that? Some British journalist was asking her about gun control. And she was like, lady, you guys have people do mass stabbings. Like, people are going to do bad things. Go back to your own country and stop asking me these questions. Like, that's what Marjorie Taylor Greene told her.
I saw
Like, hey, I'm obviously summarizing here.
Laura Brohart. What's her name? Laura?
Ingram?
No, Laura.
Oh, Brobert from Colorado.
She was-
Bobert or something like that.
Oh, I watched a video of her earlier going off on something. And she's another new one.
I'm a firm believer. So if somebody tunes in and listens to us, they're gonna be like, "Oh, there's a bunch of angry white guys." There's a difference whenever it's angry moms, right? Like we just happen to be white and complaining about this stuff, but I'm pretty sure that
I don't
there's
care what color your
61% of the country, according to the polls, agree with us in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and I think those polls are a bunch of crap because that number hasn't changed in a year.
Yeah. At this point, if you're still supporting Biden, there's no help for you.
No.
If you think that this country is on the right path and it's all like Trump's fault and everything else, and the president's policies can't affect this quickly, Trump proved, number one, that it could because Obama told him he would need a magic wand, and he was talking a bunch of garbage during the lead up to the election, and then we saw the economy turn around. Right, so everybody will say it's because of Obama, but if you go back and you watch, like this is the reason why people get on my nerves with their arguments. So if you go and you watch, Obama said, yeah, it's not going to happen. You got to have a magic wand, and I don't think he has one of those. And so then we saw the economy and everything else turn around, and then they're like, well, it's because of Obama's policies. Well, no, he said that it couldn't happen based on his policies and the way that he saw the country as it's going. The man himself said it couldn't happen unless you had some magical wand. It happened, and then they're like, oh, well, it's because of Obama. Well, no, you need to listen to his own words. Does that follow? Am I crazy for thinking like this? Like, that's logical to me, is that he said it can't be done. You'd have to have some magical powers, and,
And he did it.
And he did it.
Imagine that.
His policies, his administration's policies,
So-
he gets credit for. The leader of the organization is supposed to take credit for the good and the bad. If you're going to be, quote unquote, a leader, you're responsible for what you and your organization do or don't do.
Exactly.
Full stop, as Chief likes to say.
He says full send.
Oh, full sent?
Full send.
Full stop, full sent.
I got you. So,
Anyway,
I saw something funny so Peter Dorsey, who's the White House reporter. Ducey, whatever. For Fox. He, so the new press secretary, not nearly as good as the last one. Not that she's not good. It's just if you're going to be press secretary for this president, you have to be really good. You have to lie on cue. And Jen Psaki was really good at her job. I'll give you credit. She was really good at her job. This one, she went to MSNBC. And this one struggles. So I guess Peter called her out the other day because she says the president has a plan to stop the gas price issue. And he says, well, wait a minute, I thought you said that the president doesn't set the gas prices. And
What'd you say to that?
no comment. What do I get to say about that?
Thank you. Exactly. So that goes back to, appreciate that. That's a good tie back to my Obama said it couldn't be done. It happens. And everybody's like, well, it's because of Obama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like all the bad, like when Obama's term was going bad, which it did.
It was Bush's fault.
Bush's fault. And now Trump has success. Oh, because it was Obama. And now everything's going bad. Oh, it's Trump's fault.
Yeah. Well, hey, Trump shouldn't have signed those $1 trillion packages, at
No,
least from my perspective. So
I agree.
I'll put blame out there. Like that
Sure.
goes back to inflation and printing money that's not backed by anything other than oil. And now we've given up our leverage in the oil business.
You know what? If I was Biden right now, I'd be like,
Because Biden said, I'm going to put you all out of business. Like he ran on that. And so why would they think anything less than that was his goal?
Exactly. I mean, if I was Biden, I'd be like, oh, all right, Trump thinking you can fix everything? Here, come on in. Tell me what to do. But you wouldn't, because everything would get better. And then you look like a moron more than you already are.
Well, it's because it's divided by party lines. The party lines
Right.
are there to keep us from agreeing with each other on things.
Right.
'Cause I guarantee you, even if we brought a socialist in here right now, we would agree probably on 50% of things.
Yeah. A friend of mine's like progressive, like very progressive. And I'm like, she's
It's
like,
not more than 50%.
she's like, we agree on 90% of the things. I'm telling you that right now. They want you to think that we can't agree.
Yeah, like
United we stand, divided we fall. Remember that. They're trying to divide us more and more and
I
more.
know.
The race thing doesn't really work very well anymore because let's
They
face it.
overused it. Like if you
Exactly.
disagree with the color of the screen on here, then you're a racist,
Yes.
misogynist, sexist. Like everything.
You can take your ist and shove it up your ass.
Yeah, I kind of.
I don't care.
To me, it's very simple. We're all Americans. We all were born into this country.
Mhm.
I've said it several times before in the past. If you want to change the Constitution, hold a convention and let every state vote on it. But they can't do that because they know that no one will vote. Like if it's held fairly and everything else, that they won't pass. The majority of this country is not going to give up its right to bear arms. Like Kathy Hochul was, she had some quote probably along with going with this article I saw last night. I didn't realize that they had said we're going to disagree with the law, but it was just a quote that she had made, and it was something along the lines of, they had muskets back then. They weren't expecting
And I'm totally
lethal. And the guy was like, they were military grade muskets.
And I'm ready.
Right? Like that was the guy's response to him. Was like,
and
they're
she
military
said,
grade muskets.
I am totally ready to go back to that point. Okay, I'll accept that. But guess what? The media is going to go back to a felt pen and writing on parchment because that's the same equivalent.
Right. Get rid of the internet.
All of it. Internet, TV, gone.
Yeah. Horse and buggy, baby.
Exactly. This is something here that because you just said that. So, Supreme Court lawyer says that it would be weird for the High Court to leave abortion up to states after it just imposed a constitutional concealed carry of firearms. Well, actually, no. If you read the Constitution,
it specifically addresses.
Yes, because and this is a lawyer. This guy is a moron.
He's doing misdirection so that
exactly
other people who don't want to research, they're like, well, this guy is a lawyer for this, so this doesn't make any sense. It's it's apples and oranges, which everybody can.
Here's the thing, folks. If the U.S. Supreme Court says Roe versus Wade is we're throwing it out. Guess what happens? It goes back to the states. The states decide. The states vote on it, which means you vote on it. And so some states would vote yes, some states would vote no. So if they say, no, we're throwing it out, which they're not, which is just more crap to get people. But that's how it works. And this moron here is trying to be like, oh, well, can't believe that after you're going to say you're going to send it back to the states and blah, blah, blah. Like, just more lies.
Right.
This is why you have to know the law and you have to know your rights.
Right. Well, the Constitution specifically says that we have a right to bear arms.
that shall not be infringed.
Right.
That's
So when a state infringes on a very specific right that's given to us in our own form of government,
right, which Mass, New York, and California do constantly,
then they address that.
Yeah.
I don't know anywhere, and I don't want to talk about the abortion debate or anything, but it's not in the Constitution where it says you have a right to an abortion.
Right.
So this lawyer is trying to conflate the two.
Yes.
Which, I get it. He's biased. When everybody has biases, they try to do, so that's doesn't follow logic and reason. He didn't take geometry, or he did take geometry, and he's like, well, I'm just going to try to mess with them and see if they took geometry, right? Because it's just a simple proof. It's black and white with the Second Amendment. You know what I mean? So he's comparing apples and oranges there. That's why when I did my little discussion about inflation, I acknowledge I have biases. I don't believe in big government. I don't want someone coming in and taking away my free will because they went to some lefty school and got indoctrinated by an alleged communist or socialist that doesn't agree with our way of life.
Right.
Like, no, pretty good understanding that the Constitution as it's written, there's a pretty set of guidelines there, just like the Ten Commandments. You read those and you're like, yep, I stink there, I'm horrible, right? Like, it's very simple. For me, anyway. I don't know. I digress. I keep repeating myself because I'm so frustrated over the general lack of respect for the Constitution.
Well, the lefties want to get rid of it.
Oh, yeah, obviously. That's why they want to pack the Supreme Court, so they get activist judges on there. And they'll say, well, these are activist judges. Are they? Or are they interpreting the Constitution as it says?
Exactly. All right, positive meme of the day. Tough times don't last, tough people do. Source unknown. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. It's going to be nice out. So much going on this weekend to go do. Wings and Wheels, 5K. The Moose has got that Rolling Thunder benefit. Concert on the Common. It's going to be nice. Get out
Lots
there.
of things to do. Stay out of trouble.
Stay out of trouble. Listen to this Steve show. And once again, also thank you to our sponsors, Wicked Awesome Adventures, Noise Ross Fireworks, which our fireworks show is ready, so I got to go pick that up later, and Twin State Paving. And, yeah, we'll see you on Monday. Thanks for watching.